our Call 6 investigators new information surrounding a huge Indiana Supreme Court ruling this morning. That ruling says school districts do not have a constitutional requirement to provide bus service to get students to and from school. Call 6 investigator Kara Kinney has been following this controversy for years now, and she joins us with today's developments.
That's right, Todd. A very big day for schools, and this 18-page ruling from the Indiana Supreme Court says school districts are under no constitutional mandate to provide transportation to and from school. Now, this ruling overturns an appeals court decision from last year that said charging bus fees is unconstitutional. Now, this all stems from a lawsuit filed by Franklin Township mother Laura Hoagland. She and other parents were upset because during the 2011-2012 school year, the school district stopped providing free transportation amid budget constraints. Instead, they offered busing for a fee, which caused a huge uproar in the community. We spoke with Hoagland late this afternoon, and she told us she's surprised by the Supreme Court's ruling.
Kids can't get an education if they can't go to school. I believe that there's going to be some class warfare going on within Indiana. You have your families that are able to pay for that busing or get that busing, and then you have those that aren't. And, you know, as parents, we're required that our children go to school. But now we're required to figure out how to get them there too. And some families just can't. They don't have any options to get them to school.
Now, in their ruling, the justices say that while the Indiana Constitution refers to a free public education, it did not intend for every aspect of public education to be free. Franklin Township Schools released a statement this afternoon saying they have no plans to eliminate busing. I'm Call 6 investigator Kara Kinney.
Let's bring in Scott Elliott, who covers education with Chalkbeat, Indiana. And Scott, this seems like a ruling with a huge impact on school districts.
That's going to be very interesting to watch. It certainly could have a big impact, particularly in the school districts that have been really tight with their money for transportation since tax caps were put in place in 2010. Those are the districts we're going to want to pay attention to.
Now, what does this mean for parents? What should they start thinking about? Different ways to get their kids to school? Are we at that point yet?
I think if you're a parent in a school district where there's been any discussion about changes to transportation because of funding, there's a handful of school districts across the state where transportation money has become very tight since the change in tax law, which limited the use of funds for transportation. If you're in one of those districts, you should start asking questions right now about what this might mean for next school year.
The Supreme Court wrote that the framers did not intend for every aspect of public education to be free. What do you think about that?
I think that's a really interesting statement for the Supreme Court to make. I think it raises a lot of questions about what it might mean and whether this has implications for other things that school districts have traditionally spent money on. That's one of the things I think we're going to want to try to find out if the policymakers in the state have opinions about how broad that statement could be.
And keep this in mind, while this ruling could clear the way to districts ending bus service, the state requires a district to give 3 years notice before doing so.